Right, yes, so it's the first bit I'm filming for the week, kind of, and it's Thursday, and it's my first day out in the van on the run. So, yeah, it's not a proper week in life this week, so I'm just going to call it a highlights. Just going to go through now how the week's gone so far, and I'll probably do a quick recap and maybe highlights together later on. So, before I start, just saying, obviously, I put quite a big video up last week. Obviously a long video, quite a lot I went into with regards to my past and stuff, and how I set up and ended up doing this kind of line of work, and what my plans are for the year and beyond this year, and how this year is basically the make or break year. So yeah, some quite nice comments, so thanks for that. I haven't actually had a chance to reply to them yet, or haven't done it yet. I will get around to it, the comments individually. I wasn't 100% sure whether to post it after that I made it, just because it's some quite personal stuff in there, but yeah, glad I did. So that's that anyway. So just to go into fuel prices, as I was start mentioning them. So the UK fuels, which is a Shell card to get for UK fuels, that's 121.40. The BWOC or block card, which is their own card, control for diesel, they call it C4D, and it uses the Key Fuels network, is 121.38, so it's like a little bit over a penny cheaper pre-VAT. So I'll be using the block one this week. Not that I'm using much fuel at the moment in the van. So yeah, with the VAT, that's 144.46, so it's gone up, you know what I mean? It like went up crazy, went down a bit, and it's kind of been drifting up now for a good few weeks. Just down to the price of crude oil. So I heard on the radio the other day, crude oil, they call it per barrel, don't they? So many dollars per barrel. It's like 50% higher than it was a year ago. And apparently the latest price hike in crude oil hasn't really filtered through yet to forecourt prices for refined products, obviously diesel and petrol. So there you go. Yeah, I was speaking to my brother about it, and he says a lot of it's down to the situation in Russia and Ukraine. So like these massive global things kind of affect everyone, don't they? Because it affects things like fuel prices, and that's causing inflation to go up. So lots of people at the moment, I think, are pretty desperate for work and working for very little, but your prices for fuel are higher, which is your biggest variable cost, but not your only one, of course. And then your inflation, so prices are going up in the shop, so you're earning less, your costs are higher, and then things you're going to buy with it to live are more expensive as well. So yeah, it's not really going very well in that regard, is it, at the moment? But hopefully things will settle down and correct themselves shortly into the spring. Let's hope so. So Monday, didn't do any work at all. Van was in the garage yet again. As I think I mentioned before, the spanner light had come on and stayed on pretty much since it last went in. And it said a message, check injection, but the van was running fine. So I just carried on, booked it in, still used it. Like I say, it's running fine, idling fine, pulling fine, not misfiring or anything like that. Took it in, told them about that. What else did I tell them? I told them about the gearbox whining a bit, but I went to pick it up. They said it was a thermostat. The guy said, I was thinking, thermostat, really? And he goes, yeah, it sort of, senses how hot it is, the engine is. So I think the guy on the service desk is not the service manager. If you want to, I've spoke to the service man a few times before because I've been really unhappy with the service from there. But the guy you just speak to, he seems a nice guy, but you can just tell he doesn't know. You'd think surely you got to know a bit enough about cars and vehicles to sort of, discuss what it is with customers, but he hasn't. And he said to me before, I just know the basics That's when in the past he went to get the service manager, because I was asking him questions and he just looked blank. I think he meant the thermistor, so sometimes call it, which is a temperature sensor in the sensors the temperature of the coolant. They reckon that's what's causing this light to come on with the injection, and it also stopped the cruise control from working. Or the light came on, the cruise control was still working, and the cruise control stopped working. He reckons it's all related to this sensor, so it's got to go in again to have that replaced. I also mentioned to him the gearbox is getting a bit whiny, which it is. When it's ticking over in neutral, you can hear a bit of a whine. Put your foot on the clutch and it goes, so it's not the release bearing on the clutch. That's the noise coming from the gearbox. And when you're driving, particularly around town, third gear and that, you can hear a bit of quite a whine really. And these vans aren't renowned for having strong gearboxes. Same gearbox apparently is in the Renault Traffic, which is, same as what used to be the old Vivaro and stuff. And I know they used to have a bit of a chocolate gearbox. So it's quite. I thought this van would have a different, stronger box, but apparently it's the same. So happy days there. So they said they test drove it and couldn't identify anything or couldn't replicate the noise. They said, but it is changing gears slightly smoother, I'd say, because it was getting a bit notchy in second and third. So I reckon they've changed the gear oil. But you don't find out when something gets replaced under warranty. You don't get a receipt or anything. It just gets done because you don't pay for it. You don't see any paperwork. So it wouldn't surprise me if they changed the gear oil. But maybe I'm just imagining it being a bit smoother, placebo effect. But anyway, that was Monday. Just got to go in yet again. And then they just sent me a booking for this Monday coming. Right even they said they were going to ring me to arrange a time, and then they just sent me a booking for Monday morning. It's like, you need to discuss, a suitable time. As it happens, I can't bring it on Monday, so I'll just reply to them saying I didn't book this on the email. Hopefully they'll ring me. If not, I'll have to ring them and chase them. And I also noticed I'd stopped getting email notifications about bookings and getting emails about surveys. You get sent an email now about surveys. And with this one, they send me bookings about online check-in for my vehicle, which I've never responded to because I'm just taking it to a garage. I'm not going and taking it on an airplane, you know what I mean? Why do I need to check in? There's so much crap with these dealers. Bit of a rant and moan, this one, sorry. So yeah, anyway, I noticed I'd stopped getting them. I mean, I booked it in for this Monday, it's just gone in. I noticed that they went through my personal details. I sometimes do mention, is this still the right phone number? Is this still right, the email? And my email had changed. And for some reason, it was the same email address, but it got 1111 in front of my normal email address. And it might be being a bit cynical, skeptical here, but they knew I wasn't happy. I reckon they've just gone in there, changed it, just put some random numbers in front of my email address so it fails, doesn't get sent to me, and then I'm not going to, in the past, they've known I'm not being very happy with the service and stuff, to save me, actually filling a bad review, and that may go to Nissan UK, and then it might reflect badly, and they've probably got metrics for, customer satisfaction and all this stuff, key performance indicators, it's yeah. Well, that's the garage. I'm still battling with them, kind of losing the plot with them. There you go. So Tuesday and Wednesday, plan was to do the rest of the week in the van. Admittedly, I was a bit slack starting, so I started looking for jobs each day about 9. Could have started looking earlier, should have. But decided that I think if I do go on a run, I'll try and work into the evening. So don't really want to be up mega early because then there's loads of competition. Whereas in the evenings, I find when you tramp, there's little competition. Not many jobs, but it's not a lot of competition for them. And partly because I'm just too lazy and struggling to get out of bed early at the moment. So Tuesday and Wednesday got to like late morning, midday-ish, and I hadn't got anything. I was quoting on plenty of jobs, normal money. I'm not going to go in cheap or mega, definitely not mega cheap. Really, if you're going in cheap on your outbound job, whether you're tramping first job of the week, or whether you're starting at home every day and looking for your outbound job on the CX because you're just subby. You know, you're onto a loser if your outbound job is cheap, because you can kind of understand why people go cheap to get home, but if you're going cheap to just get going, get out of the thing, that's bad news, isn't it? So I'm kind of like, I don't want to work for peanuts, because that's kind of part of the problem when it gets quiet. So yeah, both them days I just sacked it off at sort of midday-ish. I looked on my phone for Amazon blocks. I thought, right, fallback is go and do some Amazon in my car, so I did that both days. So I did 2 blocks each day. So I only earned £83.50 on the Tuesday, sorry. And yesterday, the Wednesday, one of the blocks was slightly higher rate for some reason, so I got £94.50. I did it in my car, but like yesterday, I started looking for jobs at 9. I did an early afternoon block in Droitwich and then an evening block in Droitwich. Didn't get finished until 20 past 9, but I did stop to have something to eat. Into a chippy sort of in the middle of that block. Got home at 10. You know, that's like 13 hour day, because even in the morning I'm just looking for jobs. Didn't get anything for like 3 hours, but I've not got any jobs like to drive and do, but I'm still working because I'm just sat there on my phone looking, bidding. It's a bit demoralising really, something that gets like that. So it's quite a long day really for bugger all money. And then I got the costs in a car are different to the cost in a van because it's my personal car. I don't have to pay insurance and courier stuff because Amazon provide extra cover while you're doing it. But it's really just fuel in the car really, and a bit of wear and tear. I'm going to insure it, I'm going to tax it anyway, and it's just a good excuse to drive the car. I quite enjoy it. So that's how Tuesday and Wednesday went. But I thought I did have a comment from John, I think, who's tall man, small van, just to include a bit about flex. So I thought I'd do a few little clips updates. So I'll just put a photo showing my route, and then which was yesterday afternoon one, standard delivery, and then a few clips. Turned out to be quite a frustrating block, but some nice scenery, but took a while. Yeah, so if you've just seen that map, I'm doing this block out of Droitwich, Hampton Lovett Industrial Estate. It is the Amazon depot, just to the sort of like northwest of Droitwich, which itself is north of like Worcester, just not far from the M5 really. So the block I got today, this is a pickup at 1:30. It says cycle 1, as they call it. I'll cover up this customer's address. See there, it says cycle 1. If it was same day there, it's the same day. So what cycle 1 means is, I mentioned this before, it was a long time ago. Cycle 1 just means standard delivery. So if you buy it on, you know, standard Amazon delivery, so they tend to be more bunched together doing this kind of thing. But this is, by the looks of it, quite a rural block, which, you know, ideally I would have got something closer to Worcester and more around the town. And then you literally just park up in amongst the houses and deliver like several stops before you have to move the car. And when you move the car like maybe 7 or 8 times, it can be like that sometimes, but this one isn't so good. So it's about half-hour drive to the first drop, and hold this truck on. Yeah, a bit of a around the town, well, around the town kind of thing. But the good thing is about coming out here is it's nice scenery. Have a look at this. Yeah, so some nice roads, just nice place to be really, this part of the world. Quite like it around here, sort of West Worcestershire, heading towards Herefordshire and stuff, is, you know, beautiful rolling countryside, very rural. So Yeah, I'm just going to quickly show how I sort of arrange packages in my car now. I'm trying to be careful not to show people's addresses and stuff. So I'll switch camera angles. So I have what are called book folders down here. So you got your standard one, which is, they've always had ones like this, kind of like a rectangular shape, but recently now it seems to be more like this shape, which is kind of half envelope, half book folder. But they're all classed as book folder. So I know when it says what the package is, book folder, go and look for it. And then you got your envelopes, so I got them in the box here. And this is a large envelope, they're either A4 or slightly smaller. So now they've started putting these stickers on that bottom number, 4-digit number 4982. So on these ones, which are cycle 1, standard delivery, that's a sequence number. They don't follow the sequence exactly, but it is some use, so I have put them in order. The envelopes and the book folders I've put in order. All the other stuff in the back I haven't done. So yeah, there we go. That is, it's slightly different on the evening ones or the early morning ones, which are same day. They've got a different number, and that is 100% the order. It can be quite useful. Oh dear, looks like it's starting to rain. Bugger. Yep, so in the back, got the back seats down. Just got the boxes this end, and further in you got, excuse me, so it'll say box, large box, medium box, small box. It's not 100%. And then the other things are called packages, so where they've just stuck a label on whatever box the goods came in originally, that'll be a package. And further back is what was called poly bags, but they're all now actually paper bags. So Amazon are actually trying to be a bit more environmentally friendly, so that's how I tend to order it. And I know now when I come to this drop, it will say envelope, book folder, box, package, poly bag. I know which part of the card to go to. And on these standard delivery ones, I just tend to look at the surname and then go and find it. It's simple enough, and then deliver it. I'm happy about this rain. Yeah, here we go. Lots of this 10-mile-an-hour stuff. Huge potholes. If it was a better surface, it might be a bit of fun, but I've only got another 0.8 of a mile to go down here to get to this little cottage. One of them blocks today. Still going. Looks like it's a bit of a horse race in horse training stablesy type place as well. Right, I was going to say now, some people should just not order stuff online, because I guarantee when I get there there'll be 4x4s on the drive, and this is just like taking the piss, really. You know what I mean? If you live in certain places, you should just not order online. You should just go and get your own stuff or use a collection box. A bit of a whinge, but I think like this is just taking the piss, to be honest. Yeah, it's a bit of a whinge there, but I stand by that. You know, like if you live way off the beaten track, like a mile down some crappy gravel lane with huge potholes and stuff, lots of parcels these days are delivered in cars, not just Amazon, and also the vans as well. You know, vans pretty hard going down there. Some of these tracks that you kind of have to go down to occasionally. So yeah, I just think they should either just go and get their own stuff or use collection boxes like you see in petrol stations. Like Amazon have quite a lot of them delivered sometimes. Yeah, anyway, that's that. Bit of a nightmare block in terms of kind of, if in a van I would have been really disappointed to get a block. In a car it wasn't so bad because it's, you know, quite nice country lanes and stuff, but it did take me a lot longer than I thought it would do, that block. And I did another one last night, so yeah, 2 last Monday, Tuesday, but now, sorry, Tuesday, Wednesday. Today is Thursday. I did, like I say, I'm in the van now. Did actually get a job this morning eventually. So I started looking about 9ish again. Probably took me until almost midday to maybe 20 to 12 to get a job, and it was like a local minimum charge job. 13 miles on the job, long wheelbase. There's about 7 miles from it, so 20 miles all in. 40 quid min charge job, 2 pallets from a pallet network depot. To God, where did I deliver that? I can't even remember. It was only earlier. Yeah. Anyway, it's pretty straightforward. Yeah, some warehousey distribution type place, and it was like flat pack kitchen unit doors and stuff. I think 800 kilograms worth. So that put me in sort of Cannock, and I thought, well, problem being in Walsall is the feed has been very quiet the last few days. Like, it's kind of sporadic. You might get like a burst of jobs that come within a minute. You might like get like 4 or 5 in a minute or more, and then you might not get anything for like 2 minutes. And if I'll put well, considering my 30 miles catchment area from Walsall takes in a lot of a big area down to Telford, not including Leicester, but lots of LE postcodes, down Coventry, down as far as like Worcester, pretty much. You know, it's a huge area of one of the busiest parts of the country, and yeah, it's just quiet. So still pretty quiet. Yeah, so they got a job, did it, and I thought if I'm in Cannock, I'm kind of a bit further. Jobs come up that way, but there's probably going to be less vans. So tipped that, parked outside eating my sandwich, down the road. Job pings up from Birmingham, B44 to Norwich, 164.7 miles. And I thought, do I go for it or do I not? And I thought, well, I went in at £1 a mile, and he rang me straight away, give me it, because it's going to Norwich, isn't it? So I thought I'd chance my arm and come to Norwich. Yeah, and it was picking up, like I say, in B44 postcode, and B44 is probably the postcode in the whole UK I know best, because when I was doing 10 weeks worth of 6 days a week Yodel multi-drop in the first lockdown, COVID lockdown, B44 did the entire of that postcode, so I know it really well. Just off Shady Lane, this industrial estate, picked up. When the job notes came through, it said something to do with printing or binding or something. And I thought, well, that's probably going to be paper, so I'm definitely going to have to check the weights on this. Because certain jobs, you know, if it's steel work, always check. And if they don't know, you need to know, you know what I mean? Don't take it if it looks anything, like it looks like it could be, you know, overweight or something, or even close to max weight. And it was going to like a printers down here in Norwich, NR6. So turn up to collect, and he says, yeah, it's these 3 pallets here, mate. I looked at them, €3 pallets, but probably, you know, waist height, if not a bit higher. Maybe 1.2 meters tall. And I just said, looked at them and thought, well, they look heavy, because I'm going to have to ask and make sure I know the weight of this before I take it. So I asked the guy, what's the weight? And he goes, oh, don't know. Asks his colleague, oh, don't know, mate. And they do this sometimes with weights. They go, oh, don't know. And they just look at you as if they're kind of expecting you to go, oh, never mind, it'll be okay. I'll just take it. And I was like, well, I need to take it. I need to know the weight, because I can't be overweight, you know, and paper's quite heavy. So, yeah, they turns out they did have a scale, but not like a scale for weighing pallets. But on each of these pallets was boxes. There's 137 boxes, all identical. So they weighed one of them, and it was, I saw him weigh it, and he says 10.2 something kilograms. He said, oh, it's 10 kilograms. But it's really 10.2, so 10.3, call it, round up, times by 137 is near enough 1400 kilograms, and that's just the actual boxes, not the pallets, the 2 pallets or 3 pallets, and then the other kind of packaging. So yeah, 1400 or just over, and I said, well, can't take that. Van can take just over a ton. So I took just 2. They weren't arsy about it in any way, but you know, they should know. I mean, especially like something like that, which is obviously heavy, and shippers should always know the weight. And I've had some shippers before. You'll ask, well, what is it? Is it pallets at first? And they'll say, well, I don't know. They just asked for a large van. And you're kind of thinking, well, what's the weight? Am I going to turn up? Is it going to fit? Well, the first question is it going to fit? The second one, is it going to be overweight? And then the third one is kind of things like, can I carry it anyway? Is it like dangerous, hazardous goods? Is it ADR? So the shipper needs to know, you know. And I think sometimes they just don't, they're a bit coy about stuff. For some shippers, you know, they're not so good ones. So that was that, yeah, and took 2 pallets down to here, Norwich, and I thought, well, because when I put in Google Maps it said shut at 5, I didn't get down here till about 7. And there was a guy waiting for it, but there was no forklift or anything. So he says, yeah, we don't normally do sort of this kind of media. We normally do digital print or something, banners and stuff. And he didn't have a forklift, so handballed it off. Well, he handballed it off. I just kind of like took it off the pallet and put it by the door. And he can take it and put it where he wants it and do all the hard graft while I put my straps away. And, you know, I told him the usual. You've got to keep all the packaging because got to go empty, and he was fine with that. Didn't complain or anything. And then I have to move from here. Might get locked in. No, bad thing. I'll come back to this. Yeah, so just had to move. Was parked in a retail park. Looked like there's a kind of like security guard sort of milling around. Not sure if he was a security guard, but I thought best just to move on. So parked in an industrial estate now down the road. Not ideal, but it'll do for the night. So that was that job all done and dusted. Took a bit of a risk coming down to Norwich, particularly it being a Thursday, so it's Friday tomorrow. Instead of just being really flexible and going, I've got to try and get back home. So yeah, we'll see how I go. So that just hopefully it'll work out for me. Yeah, so big storm coming in tonight. It was a storm yesterday when I was doing the Amazon in the evening. Like the last 10 drops, it was crazy mad. It was like crazy weather, just like blowing a gale, rain. Luckily it was only for the last 10 drops of nearly 37 drops I had to do, which is another issue with Amazon. At the moment, again, it seems to be giving more drops, and they've cut down the hours for what used to be a 3.5 hour block, now a 3 hour block, but the rates stay the same, so they're actually paying less. I'm sure the number of drops has gone up as well since I used to do it more before. But anyway, tonight's going to be crazy. Red weather warning in the southwest and South Wales, obviously quite far from that here in East Anglia, but it's still going to be quite rough here from sort of early hours to 3 o'clock. So yeah, that'll be pretty crazy weather when I wake up tomorrow, and just hope for the best tomorrow. Right, filming this next update on the Saturday, just to round off the week as well. Yeah, so tramped in that industrial estate in Norwich, and something happened in the night. For the first time ever, the night heater conked out on me. Conked out about 4 o'clock, so it'll be on about 5.5 hours. And I checked, it had an error code on it, and I checked the error code, which means the flame had gone out. So I'm hoping, when I said before, when I start it off and get in a van at 10 power and it full blast, and then I turn it down to one of the like lower settings overnight, because it just kind of keeps it at the right temperature generally. And I've got a handle now, a feeling of what I need to set it to from looking at the weather forecast and stuff, how cold it's going to be outside. So I have it on a low setting overnight, and I think the storm was getting up from the early hours. This storm, Unwin, or whatever the name was, funny name. Don't know why they're giving such strange names. I just can't seem to remember this one. Mental block on it, whatever it was, Unwin, Irwin, or something like that. So I'm hoping it was just like the wind, maybe, you know, caused it to stall, or stall is the wrong word, but because I could feel the van rocking side to side, so I'm hoping it was just down to that. Before I go on a run again, I'll have to, it's calmed down now, but it's raining all day today and tomorrow by the looks of it. So I'm just going to have to try it, and hopefully it was just the weather. There's no fault with it. So yeah, woke up that Friday. I got a job actually by about 9:30. It was a job. I bid on a few jobs, didn't get them, and then there was a job that kept pinging up. Small van job from Norwich, like a few miles from me. Shipper I'd done work for before, good shipper, and they seem to do like legal documents and that kind of thing, files. But it was going to central London, you know, like in the congestion zone. Small van job, and I thought, can't we go to the middle of London on a Friday? And it's a small van job anyway, got the congestion charge zone on there. So I just kind of like dismissed it. And they posted it a good few times, but I'm still like, can't do that one. And then I didn't have any bids on, because the ones I'd bid on hadn't been accepted. So, and then the phone rang, and I thought, who could that be? Is either going to be a shipper looking for me to cover a job, or it's going to be, you know, fuel card or anything. Just what it tends to be normal, something like that, or just general crap. It's been on a personal level, but it was a shipper. It was a shipper with a job going to London, and he says, "Are you available?" And I says, "Well, I am, but you know, I'm in a long wheelbase van, and I'm looking to get home to the West Midlands, really, so it doesn't really fit in." So I did see the job, but didn't quote. He says, "Oh yeah, well, we're really struggling to get this one covered. If you could help us out, we could sort you out sort of with decent money or whatever." So I said, "All right, well, what's it paying?" So I've never actually asked this to a customer shipper before when they ring me. They normally ask you what you want for the job. So I asked him how many miles is it. He says 120 miles. One pickup, 2 drops essentially. Even though there's 4 different addresses on the packages, there's 2 drops, or 3 drops, but 2 are like next door to each other on the same street. So 2 different places in central London. And he says, "Well, what do you want for it?" And I says, "Well, I don't know." That's why I said, "What can you pay?" Basically, I said to him, because it's one of them jobs, I'm not going to do it unless they make me an offer I can't refuse. And I mentioned obviously congestion charge as well, and he says, "Oh, don't worry, we'll pay that as well." And he goes, "Let me have a look at it and see what we could do." He's on the phone saying this, and he says, even though there's 4 separate packages, they're kind of getting paid for 4 separate packages individually. So there's a lot of shared mileage, so I think he had quite a lot of money on a job. So he's obviously doing well out of it anyway. If it works like that, you know, then you are doing well, because basically it's a co-load, but all through one shipper. So they're getting paid for each job individually. But there's a lot of common mileage in it, so it's not a co-load as in I'm not co-loading, I'm just doing what they're doing, but they've co-loaded packages together. That's a job they've put on a CX, if you know what I mean. So he goes, "Well, £1 a mile will be 120. Says, "Oh, we could probably do 200 on that." So I was like, "Yeah, I'll do it for 200. And I thought he meant that including the congestion charge, which would have cost me 15 quid, but that's tax deductible, so it really cost me about a tenner, just over a tenner. So I thought the job will be worth 190 to me, 120 miles, and I'm like a few miles from it or something. So got it, picked it up from some legal company, just like some poly bags, you know, with paperwork inside them, and went into London, dropped them off, and when I did the job, finished it, and went to do the invoice, it was £200 plus they'd put as an extra, so I didn't see it until I went to raise my invoice, an extra 30 quid to cover the central London charges, but I don't pay the £12.50 because I'm Euro 6, so it just cost me 15 quid, but they put 30 quid on. So I think they were just desperate to get this done, because these, you know, legal files, they need to be, it could have been, you know, a court case. I delivered 2 different chambers, you know, where barristers and stuff, they call their offices chambers, don't they? and one was like New Square, really fancy old building. Yeah, probably not that far from the Old Bailey, that sort of area, I'm guessing. So that's quite interesting. Not done like, I've done plenty of documents before, but not like to QCs, and it was like addressed to the clerk of blah 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 QC and all this stuff. And did quite well out of it. Yeah, but have a quick look at this. So the drive down there, I didn't know when I accepted to do the job, but the red zone, that was red weather warning, that was in the southwest of England, had been extended to cover the whole of South England and the southeast of England, so which includes London. So yeah, it was like great when I heard that on the radio, and it was a crazy drive down there. The side winds down the M11 and that A11 were, yeah, doing like 55, 60 max, 2 hands on the steering wheel, very tense drive all the way down there, getting blown all over the show. Never felt I was going to lose it, but proper tense, I'd say, rather than scary. You could see a lot of the trucks, the Talkliner, curtain-side trucks had all tied their, the ones that were empty obviously, had tied all their curtains up to the back so that they don't get blown over, because I think they're more likely to get blown over when they're empty, carrying no weight. That's quite interesting. And then I saw a Luton van, curtain-side, tall curtain-side Luton van, and I felt sorry for the guy because he was going down the M11, and the whole thing was just, it was just leaning over like that because there's a side wind coming from the driver's side, and basically I could see it was kind of like crabbing going down the road, so it was going down the road like that kind of thing, because the back end was getting blown out sort of thing constantly. So I got past him pretty sharpish. Felt sorry for the guy driving that, but he's shitting himself. It's a downside to a Luton curtain side, I think, especially a tall one. But it was a pretty freak weather storm, probably the strongest winds in 30 years in the south or something. Heard on the radio, and I saw a bit of debris and carnage. Just have a quick look at this. This is central London. Nice day. That's what cycle lanes are for. Yeah, so I didn't see that much carnage. That was the only thing really. There was one tree down, Bishop Stortford Services. So stopped on the way down. And just, yeah, the van, you could hear the van getting like blasted with stones and grit and stuff because of the side winds. It was yeah, anyway, so that was that. And that, so getting back to the job, I finished that job. I was in central London, already in a congestion charge paid. I thought hopefully I can get another job on from there because I was tipped sort of like 2:30. Thought if I can get another job from there, you know, central London, out to the outskirts of London, particularly going like north towards home or further, you know, I could go in a bit keen maybe and get a bit of extra for the day. But the feed was very, very quiet. Friday afternoon, I was slap bang in the middle of London, and yeah, very few jobs springing up. I was a bit shocked, so I sat around for about 15-20 minutes. Was on single yellows with the hazards on where I'd just tipped, so I'd been unloading, so you're allowed to park there, so I kind of pushed my luck a bit, but I didn't see any wardens, and I don't think they do that kind of stuff by camera. I bloody hope not. Anyway, but the money I got on my first job, basically 2:30, but the congestion charge is going to cost me a tenner. After I claim the tax back, I'll put it down as a taxable expense. So 2:20 of a job was worth to me, and then 120 miles to get there, and then 127 miles to drive home, so 247 miles for 220 quid. It works out about 90 pence a mile, including driving home all the way empty from London. So that job worked out really well. So yeah, in terms of that job, I would never have got that job if it was in, you know, a built-up area. If I was in like the northwest or like Yorkshire, Leeds, that kind of way, or Birmingham, loads of people would have gone for that job. But because I was out of the way, they still struggle to sell these job shippers, even when it's quiet like it is now. It's kind of got me thinking, something I'd thought out before, when it gets quiet, it's normally the built up, the busy areas that see the effect more, whereas out of the way areas, I bet if you compared the number of jobs coming up in out of the way areas like Norwich now, 30-mile radius of Norwich, it's probably not that much different to what it was last, like before Christmas, because I think shippers and that, they don't have their own vans in there, so anything going out of the way or coming from out of the way area like Norwich, thing. So maybe I will bid on jobs to a bit more strange areas, especially when I'm flexible early in the week. That might be the plan going forward until it gets busier. Yeah, so just a quick one in insurance. My insurance renewal was due end of this month, so I've been re-quoted with the company I'm with now for my motor insurance, which is just motor insurance. So I just thought I'd share some numbers with you. So it's Business Choice Direct, just motor, not goods in transit or public liability. I get that through someone else. So when I first started out, my policy was £2,125 plus the broker fee, which is 400 quid. So you might think 400 quid, God, that's a hell of a lot. But insurance company I'm with, because Business Choice Direct, like a lot of insurance companies, are actually brokers. So the underwriter, you can't go and get a policy straight off the underwriter. It all has to be organised and set up and blah 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 by a broker. So that's what the broker does, really. So it does sound like a lot of money, but that's just how it is. So the broker fees stay the same in the 3 years I'm with them, 400 quid. Even though last year they tried to knock it up to 450, but I spotted it and says, well, why am I paying more? Because I'm got less work to do because I'm not a new customer. So they managed to keep it down to 400 and they kept it the same this year. But the underlying policy with the underwriter is, so first year 2,125. That's when I had no years claims for commercial policy. Second year, so renewing 2021, was 1,817, and then this year was 1,549. So I'm paying that plus the £400 broker fee plus £39 legal cover. So it comes in just under £2,000 this year for my motor policy, including legal cover. So, like I say, so the broker fees stay the same over the 3 years, 400 quid, but the actual policy price has come down 15% each year. So I'm paying 30% for my third year, 30% less than my third year than I was for my first year. And I'm paying my second year was 15% less than the first year in terms of the variable bit. The only downside is on this, it's fully comp, doesn't include European work cover, covers me third party for personal use in Europe, but I'm never going to do that. And the excess is 1,155, which I kind of forgot it was that high. It's always been that high since I've been with them. I don't know if that's high compared to other policies. Can't really remember when I got quotes. Maybe that's why they're a fair bit cheaper, because when I got quoted initially for my first year, I was getting quoted mainly around the £4,000 mark. Yeah, whereas this one through BCD was like 2,700. So you're kind of saving 1,300 quid anyway, even if you do have to pay the excess. Obviously try not to pay the excess and have a crash, isn't it? So that was, I thought I'd just mention my insurance. So I'm definitely renewing for another year, and then I'll take it from next year. As I said in my last video, where I'm at, 2022 sort of thing, make or break year. Yep, so just a quick one on Amazon. So I've kind of been making it work, topping up my income doing Amazon Flex, which is what I'm doing today. I've done a £35 block this morning, which wasn't Amazon Parcels, this was Amazon Prime, which is, groceries. And I'm doing another one. That was £35 for 2 hours. And then I'm doing another one this afternoon, which is £30 for 2 hours. So I don't really know why the other one was 35 and this one's 30, but it's actually 65 quid. It's raining a lot. So this one this morning had 3 drops. So you go and collect them. load a car, 3 drops. The downside with this is, with parcels, it's job and knock. Once you've done it, you're finished. You're not going to get called back to a depot. This one, I'd done it after about an hour and a quarter, and it called me back to a depot. So I had to go drive back to a depot, and then I got to a depot with like half an hour left on my block, and they didn't assign me anything, so I just sat outside. So that's a bit annoying, but it's just how it is with this type of Amazon. The things with Amazon, it's not a full-time gig. You can do just over 20 hours a week, I think, and that's sort of like 3-week rolling average, or always used to be. But it's hard to know exactly how much they're letting you do. They change it through the year, I think, depending on how busy they are and that, and they don't publish it, so you can't rely on it. But it's not a full-time gig. It's doing it at the moment, doing it in my car. It's worthwhile doing, tops up my income until that ad hoc subbing work on the CX picks up, which is probably going to be Easter, before it picks up properly. So I'll carry on as I am now. So that is the week. Not a full week in life this week. Still sort of very mixing it up at the moment. But yeah, I should have mentioned, so the 2 days I did do in the van, when I did get out finally, so I did 205 the first day and 230 the next day, but my pence per mile, because that first day was just over £1 a mile, or miles, was 97.3 pence a mile. So them 2 days I did were pretty decent really. But then I had 2 days, Tuesday, Wednesday, where I just didn't get a job before midday and before I went and did the Amazon. So that's it anyway. Very mixed bag this week. As I have any comments, please put them below. Maybe to help me or anyone else who watches, I'll reply to them eventually. And thanks for watching.